So we're now going to, from Australia, we are going to fly all the way to Finland. I don't know if everybody's knows even where Finland is. So I'm going to do a little bit of a geography session by plane. Yashadari is covering her face in embarrassment. But we're going to fly north from Australia over Asia, over India. We're going to turn westwards over Russia. And we're going to go to the Baltic Sea, where there's a wonderful part of the world where I'm sure the demigods reside, well, the ones that like it cold anyhow, Scandinavia. And on the eastern point of Scandinavia, we have Finland. And in Finland, we have a beautiful devotee who called Sriman Jaya Govinda Prabhu. I had the honor, I've known him for some time, but I had the honor to liaise with him over World Sankirtan Day, where he was doing his Sankirtan in the oldest town in Finland called Turku. And all I can say is this devotee is extremely sincere and beautifully intense with that sincerity. He came across the devotees for the first time in 1986. He met Gurudev's throng in the year 2000 and took Harinam a year later and Diksha in 2002. He's going to give us a little bit of a repertoire, I think, a bit of speaking, a bit of singing, a bit of bhajan. So I have no idea what he's going to do, but I'm sure it's going to be great. And so I'm going to hand over with a very warm welcome over in Turku in Finland to Sriman Jaya Govinda Prabhu. Very big hello to you and Dandavat Pranams.
My humble Dandavat Pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Thank you so much for Yashodanandan Prabhu for kindly welcoming me here, inviting me here. I begin my Pushpanjali now. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnanam Janashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayaniti Namine Sri Krishna Leela Kathane Sudaksham Audarya Madhurya Gunashchayuktam Varam Varanyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Pam Shirasha Namami Tridandinam Bhakta Shiramanincha Sri Krishna Leela Kathane Chaitanya Leelamrita Sarasaram Narayanam Pam Satatam Prapadye. So I offer my most humble Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of my eternal spiritual master, Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Gosvami Maharaj. And to all the acharyas, you know, in our line of Guru Parampara, Srila Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and you know his closest disciples that were along with Srila Gurudev. There was Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj and Srila Trivikram Goswami Maharaj, and then along with Param Gurudev also to Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, who is also known as Prabhupada, and the entire Guru Varga, praying for Srila Gurudevs and all of our acharyas to bless me so that I can speak something worth hearing to the great Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis present to serve Srila Gurudev and somehow glorify him despite my own disqualifications and my totally insignificant level in bhakti. So first of all, actually, I would like to sing a song that I have written. I wrote it actually in my mother tongue, which is the language of Finland. But then I ended up translating it into English. So there's not many persons who have even heard it yet, especially not in English. So it's written in my broken English as a translation from my own original text. I hope my instrument will be heard, but I hope that my singing also will be heard and the lyrics. It's like dedicated for this Pushpanjali year, that Srila Gurudev's centennial 1 century has passed by from his divine appearance day in this world, in this Brahmanda on earth. Ascending above the darkness of life engulfed by Avidya's gloom. Ascending above the darkness of life engulfed by Avidya's gloom, like rising shines through the entire universe. Lands luminous of Karuna makes a desperado hopeful. Magita Harikatha Jiva grateful disciple. Harikatha bird sticks changing to illuminate the shady heart. Acharya gives impetus to a all new era. The lost money retreats from the pain illusory past. Monologue in samsara's jungle divinely saves anarthas. Expression on your face, the bliss of Goloka reflects on the blue sky of your eyes. Bright light turning over and strikes like an arrow in its goal. Is the target between us? Then and there, Rama conquers Lanka's Maharaja. Miracle-making master represents Vyasadeva. On his son, awakens the heroes sleeping in Maya. Defeating time's myriads by birth, death, and the mouse. My Atma subjects at thy feet, O Maharaja. Rajas, Kurmas, Brahmanas, entitled as Yugacharya, eternal Paramahansa, and worshipped by great Mahatmas, and still his best knowledge shall burn this Yuga's salvation. Sindhamani Hari Namas giver most pure vision. Gaudiya master unforgettable, mystic of science, never emits from thy presence. When again can I view those Srila here in pure Bhaktas in a sublime temple assembly. Rajamandal parikrama I seek thee with my eyes, forever in prayer for a darshan within my heart. written in honor of.
Prabhu, come closer because we can't hear your voice.
Yes. Can you hear me better now?
No,
Still.
it was better before the program started when we were doing the testing.
Can you hear me now?
Bit better, but it needs to be a bit stronger.
Hey, well, I have actually one, I don't know how you call this, earplug or something?
Try.
Yeah, let's try this.
Oh, that's better. When you're right there is good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's good.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if everyone puts their volume up, it should be fine. Madhavrat, can you hear okay? Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
All right. And actually, I would like to know what's the words or these lyrics of this Pushpanjali song? Was it audible? Was it?
It was just about audible, just about. I didn't want to stop you because you were in the flow, and it would have disturbed the meditation. So I figured everyone can just get closer to their computers and hear, no problem.
Right.
It's beautiful. Thank you, Prabhu.
So praying that Srila Gurudev somehow empowers me to speak something in his honor now as an offering to his lotus feet. So I was born in an ordinary Western country where nobody really knows more than just practically Christianity. Of course, at school something we studied too and all that, but this was like, it was like a world which was so mundane, and spirituality was like just a dim ray here and there, but it was not like enough to really like get into it and take shelter of it. The knowledge was so limited, and also the persons who could have been teaching pure spirituality. So, and ultimately, around 1986, something very revolutionary happened. I received the first time a book of Srila Prabhupada and got to know about his teachings, and it didn't take a long time, when I was already actually living in a temple and doing seva in BBT with Srila Prabhupada's books, and we were kind of like as a team we were processing these books into our language, the language of Finland. And mostly I was living that time in Sweden, and it was very wonderful time, because finally that's what I had been longing for so many years, to get pure knowledge. What is this world? What is this existence? What is this life? And ultimately getting shelter of these books written by Mahabhagavat, Srila Prabhupada, whom even Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj has called as a Shakti Avesh Avatara. So and there's no doubt he's an empowered personality and appeared really to bless us all on earth in this age of Kali as a very amazing Acharya of our Guru Parampara. But then I always was, during those years, I was always longing actually, because I was so deeply connected to my seva, to my service, which was always about Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Through every word, we were trying to get this, everything, presented in a perfect way, precise way, so that it will be understood by the people who are reading Finnish language. So, but then I was always longing for somebody who's of that higher level, I had no idea there's anybody else than Srila Prabhupada. And then ultimately something happened. Of course, I was very happy because I was serving his books always and doing Guru Pujas, and somehow kind of really deeply being connected with him. Unfortunate in this stage of my life, but not kind of like something was there, because I always felt like, these disciples of Srila Prabhupada are so fortunate. And it's kind of like, like I felt so connected, for example, with Jesus Christ, and seeing their fortune being as his disciples. Then I come to a spiritual movement, and I'm living there so many years, but I don't see that there's, like a chance to become a disciple of, that kind of like highest level of master. And then suddenly, I mean, of course, I was accepting the situation and I was really humble and happy there. But same time, I had no idea what Krishna had in store in his divine plan, like he has for all of us. Because ultimately, I got completely disconnected with that temple life there, and I was ultimately living again in the society, but no idea where to go then, because that time and stage of life, it was like a closed chapter. There was no return anymore. I felt it was like over for good. But then I was always continuing with my spiritual life and praying and following the principles and doing all these practices and studying and all that. But ultimately, when I went to India, it was in 1992, and I went first time in my life to India, and alone. Nobody supported me. I just went. I just decided, now I have enough Lakshmi, and now I want to fly to India. So ultimately, I had enough Lakshmi, and I just made my way there, Lakshmi, and then I had no idea. It was like an amazing adventure to come from Scandinavia at that time of the world history. I mean, India was kind of like an complete unknown land. Nobody really knew, something little, but that time it was like a very mysterious land, and it remains forever a mysterious land. So, but during that journey, ultimately, I actually got really blessed, because I got darshan of Srila Govinda Swami in Mayapur. And then when we were doing this parikrama there in this Navadvip parikrama of ISKCON, that time actually our parikrama went to Devananda Gaudiya, and Srila Gurudeva was there. I didn't understand everything what's going on, because I mean, we were just following the group, and I understood we went to this temple there, and then there was this great personality, and he was so effulgent and like somebody so highly exalted. But that time I didn't understand, for example, Hindi that he spoke, or Bangla that he spoke, and then little bit, like special English with his, pure Indian accent. And that time he had never been even outside of India yet. It was so early. It was before he began to conquer the world, right, by his teachings. This was like years before that. And I understood these all the GPCs and gurus and sannyasis, all these, like senior Vaishnavas in the group. They were so highly respecting Srila Gurudeva, and they were, like asking him humbly questions and all that. And then ultimately, then after that, I didn't understand what happened then between, because then some politics began to happen from the side of the other party. Something happened, and then I was many years at that time. Actually, I went also to visit actually Srila Govinda Swami also in his temple in Bhubaneswar and all that. And so that was an amazing journey. It awakened me so deeply. First time in India, and then I was again many years away. And then coming back to India in year 2000, but actually 1996 I was also in India, and that time I was just going to go to get shelter of Srila Govinda Swami in Mayapur, but that time he left this world, and it was such an extreme loss for me, and I was really like crying and lamenting, because I really wanted to take shelter of him, and then he disappeared from this world. And then next time again coming back to him, because it was like, there was no Lakshmi to go there every year. But that time I again began to, continue with my life and getting some Lakshmi together. And ultimately again in year 2000, again to India. This time I went all around the country, and I was really like, kind of like having in my heart that then that time I lost Srila Govinda Swami's his sadhu sangha, so that I would have really gotten shelter of him fully. So, and then I was searching for guru in India, and I met actually many great personalities there who are, maybe yogis or actually great Vaishnavas and all that. But then ultimately, in the end of my journey, ultimately I came to Vrindavan Dham, And then I heard that there's darshans of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj in Mathura Dham in Keshwati Gaudiya. And then I went there, and I actually had darshan of Srila Gurudev. And I could see how he's dealing with all his disciples with such love and care. And I didn't see, like anything. I understood that he is so highly exalted, but in his presence, it felt like, coming home. After all kinds of places and temples and this and that, ultimately coming there, I really felt like, now this is an amazing discovery in my life. Finally, I have found like a real master who's like embodying everything that I had ever read from Srila Prabhupada's books and from any other great gurus' books like Srila Govinda Swami and so, or Bhakti Rakshak Srila Goswami Maharaja. So, and then that time I didn't immediately realize even that this is the same person I met already in one previous journey. And then I felt so impressed by his kindness and his effulgent presence. I didn't really have much close association that time with him, because I was just like a newcomer, but I felt really deeply connected with all the devotees there, and I felt like they are immediately like my brothers and sisters, all the disciples of Srila Gurudev. And then in fact, because of all these things, culminating with getting shelter of Srila Gurudev in Mathura, so then ultimately I just felt like living here in the Western world is just boring and empty. What am I doing there? I just went back to Finland. I packed everything, and that's Lakshmi again, working hard, and then flying back to India next autumn. And then I stayed there many years actually, because then finally I felt like I had found what I had been searching for, but I was still a little bit, and actually because I lost that guru that I was following in ISKCON many years and worshiping him and like that. So I think that caused a lot of kind of like pain in my heart, and kind of like many devotees that time, their hearts were broken, and they actually left the path of bhakti completely. And I also came with a kind of like broken heart in a way to Srila Gurudev's association, to his sadhu sangha, and I'm still in process. I'm still in process of recovery from that time, because I really didn't have any real like sadhu sangha for quite some years. And then ultimately, that's why I just moved to India, and then always from Vrindavan we went to Mathura and wherever when Gurudev had any class, then we were many devotees, all coming from Vrindavan. Was it Vichitri and Shashikala Didi and Raghava Pandit Prabhu and so many other devotees were all together. We were always going there for Gurudev's darshans and classes and like this. And then he gave me Harinama Diksha, but gradually he actually kind of like Srila Gurudev has this sweet side that he is, like he's actually completely stealing our heart. And then when it's in his pocket, then actually he begins, when we are ready, he actually begins the treatment. So I felt like he began my operation at certain time. He began to chastise me occasionally, heavily, and directly and indirectly, and it's something hard to describe, but it's kind of like revealed his omniscience, that he is, although being in this sweet Madhurya mood of Vrindavan, same time he had this omniscient side about him, just like Krishna. He's just playing with his sakhas, or he's playing with with Radharani and the gopis. He's having his leelas, but at the same time, when there's something to deal with, then he manifests his divinity, which is forgotten by all these sakhas and all the gopis, and they don't really like. It's not prominent. Like Srila Gurudev stated that that there's full Aishwarya, just like in Dwaraka Lila, in Krishna, in also in Vrindavan Lila. But that Aishwarya is in Vrindavan Lila, it's covered by Madhurya. So Srila Gurudev also, he had this both sides, but it was always covered completely by that Madhurya aspect, that sweetness of the moods of Vrindavan, which he so magnanimously always distributed to us through his katha and through his presence. But then sometimes when there was something that he wanted to teach to us, like personally, I felt he was sometimes revealing his complete omniscience, and just letting us understand, like he used to say that the disciples should be in front of his guru like an open book, and so that was kind of like a rule. So he expected that, and I could see that whether we keep the book open means our entire life, he is anyway having like access to that. He's completely aware. It's not like he's ignorant. He's completely aware, 100%, as an external manifestation of Paramatma and direct via media of Sri Krishna. So in many occasions it became clear that I'm not dealing with an ordinary human being. And actually, even such a mentality is stated in Shastra to be Gurusu Naramati or something like that. They say that to consider an eternally liberated, self-realized spiritual master to be an ordinary human being is actually hellish intelligence. So that's how I experienced him. That he was fully empowered, because being a Mahabhagavat. So he had all these mystical qualities of somebody who is like not just a sadhaka or somebody who knows the philosophy. I had met so many devotees before, but only like Mahabhagavatas I had met very, very rarely, and not so closely. So then Srila Gurudev kind of like made it clear what is a Sudha Bhakta, what is a Mahabhagavat, and practically I began to really experience he is not only theory and Nitya Parshad of Radha and Krishna, but all of his teachings and all of his, means whether it's directly whatever katha he was speaking or whatever books he has composed. So all of this is like revealing that he is a Nitya Parshad of Radha and Krishna. Nobody else can give such blessed katha like he has given to us in his books. And definitely I always felt like completely unqualified to be his disciple, but I felt like he, by his causeless mercy, he anyway accepted me as this disciple, seeing that otherwise I would be just drowning in Maya forever if he doesn't come and pick me up from the samsara janma mrityu sagara, from the ocean of birth and death. So, and at some point he actually, I know that he had so many sweet dealings with many devotees, but I think that he gave me also many chastisements. But then it was kind of like just to help me. So he kind of like, it was incredible because to be chastised by a Mahabhagavat is not of this world. It's like behind that there's none of these modes of nature. There's none of these false ego or envy or hatred or any of these qualities that we experience in the material existence, in the mundane society. But behind that there's like only prem. It's an ocean of prem behind that. That Srila Gurudev is there. He's like, he's just just such an effulgent, incredible personality. I had never met anybody like that in my whole life. Although I had been so many years a devotee, I had been like 15 as a devotee before I really got the shelter of Srila Gurudeva and his son. And it's kind of like clear that so many very fortunate souls came from worldwide, and I feel like the most sincere disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they actually came there, and I felt it was like such a precious part of our Sangha that we had all there, Nani Maharaj and Padmanabh Maharaj and Shyamarani Didi and so many other great Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vrindavan Vilasini Didi, and so many so many very highly exalted devotees who were all actually gracing our assembly, and actually even that time already sometimes they were helping me to digest something if there was some exchange that I felt that Gurudev was giving me too much mercy in his powerful way, and they helped me to digest it sometimes. Some of these senior Vaishnavas, they helped me to process it because it's like an amazing leela when a guru is chastising a disciple. So I feel now also that because Srila Gurudev blessed with so many good friends, I really like dear friends in his Sangha all around the world, wherever we went to visit, always so much sweetness was around, and such love and humility and happiness and all the best qualities. It was like not in this world, and that's why I felt like we were always like on the wings of his mercy all these years till he disappeared ultimately from this world, entering Mahasamadhi in 2010. But I felt really clearly that time was like some magical time, and like once upon a time, once I experienced when I was in some situation with a certain job that I was sometimes doing in India. I was sometimes bringing some groups to India, and then the person who was employing me, he sent me the groups, and he said, now you have to give them something, like you should give non-veg food and you should give alcohol. And I never ordered any such things to these people. But he said, if you don't, then you lose your job. You can't continue anymore. We get somebody else to handle this. So, but then I was writing a letter to Srila Gurudev, and then there was no reply, zero. And I was left puzzled, thinking, what shall I do? And then it took like that person had given me like 3 months time to decide that I don't expect you to reply immediately, but you give me a decision on that day, this summer, on that month and that day. And then immediately that day I went to write. So I saw 2 letters waiting for me in the email box that had come like one after another, like about the same time. And one was from that employer from this country, from Finland, and the other one was from Srila Gurudev. So and the other one was, just demanding. Now the time is over. 3 months has gone. Now on this day you're supposed to give your verdict, decision. What will you do? Will you accept to do the work in this way, or you just give it up? So then same time Srila Gurudev's letter came, and he said that you follow Rasamrita, what is favorable or unfavorable, you decide on the basis of that, and it is not my mission in your life to get involved with this kind of things. Rather, my mission in your life is to give you prayer. So and I just brought back to that letter, to this man that had sent his letter. So I just wrote him back that, oh, thank you so much for kindly writing, but actually, I have decided not to do anything like that, you know, to these people who come for the journeys, you know. So then that job was so and then I began to also get more involved with teaching yoga and things like that, but because in order to continue living in India or whatever, but also preaching somewhere else in Asia. And then sometimes he came to visit, like some, I was in Hong Kong preaching some, and then at the same time Srila Gurudev came there, and then getting again his sadhusanga there. So it's I feel it's such a blessing to be in this sangha of Srila Gurudev, that there's an option. There's no monopoly. There's no monopoly on bhakti on earth. But there is actually, you know, like there's the family of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Chaitanya tree, like it's mentioned by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that there's a Chaitanya tree, and it has the trunk, like Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya, and then that Chaitanya tree has many branches, many leaves, many fruits, many flowers. And so in this way, I feel like, you know, we are all one family, whatever aspect of Chaitanya tree we are taking shelter of. And I feel we are very firmly situated by taking shelter of Srila Gurudev, because he has given us like such a firm shelter through his own books, because these are from the heart of the Mahabhagavat. So I'm very fortunate. I actually do seva with these books. Earlier I was doing seva for BBT, and nowadays I do with the publications of Gaudiya, GVP, means Gaudiya Vedanta Publications, translating and sometimes proofreading books. So I feel like so blessed by all this, that I'm just, and I feel like really grateful that you kindly invited me. I see there's been so many great speakers, so many disciples of Srila Gurudev speaking here time to time, that I'm just like feeling like a dwarf in front of many moons, not only one moon, many moons and stars. I'm looking up, you know, and I feel like, you know, I'm very safely situated, because this dwarf, that the shelter of the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, and all these great warriors of bhakti that I have seen, and who are still serving and preaching all around the world the glories of Suddha Bhakti, Bhakti Yoga, empowered by Yuga-Acharya Srila Gurudev. Actually, I wanted to read, if it's all right. Do I still have time? Should I?
3 minutes, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if I would read. The thing is that I sometimes write some poetry and things like that, and that I feel is kind of like another way to express my heart than just speaking. So this I have written quite some time ago. In the endless ocean of the ever dull mundane existence, from the deep darkness of samsara's merciless waves, my Gurudev rose as a tower, casting his sun-like glance, thus saving my soul from Maya Devi's marionettes' raves. He is a lighthouse, and his sublime words are the light. So wisely he liberates hopeless fools like me by a mere glance, thus saving, while bringing my longing soul to the path beyond all fight, above the furious battle of Maya's fatal and ferocious dance. I was born in the Western world in a body human, but heart full of anarthas, indignity, and deep grief. Lord Krishna, simply by taking me for his darshan, bestowed a shelter full of solace and infinite relief. As his tiny disciple, although so utterly foolish and fallen, this unqualified person aspires to express his ever brilliant glories, like a dwarf aiming in vain at catching the full moon golden. On Guru Purnima, I bow at his feet those two fragrant lotuses. You are my master, full of everlasting divine grace, and I am your insignificant servant, one of the many. Out of arbudas of conditioned souls, your aura's radiance guided me to your lotus feet to serve you and Radharani. By your own causeless mercy, benedict this desperate soul who comes to pray for your kind Ashirvad on this grand day, to make me win in the lonely war with my Anartha's foe. Like Don Quixote, I'm gazing from afar for your mercy's ray. You are the Lord and Master, and you are the general of a vast army of great bhakti yogis from far and wide. Cast me only a thought from your eternally pure soul, thus making my life ever successful and bona fide. Let my sweet sambandha with you last forever and ever, despite my personal disqualifications so innumerable. For you are like my Lord Nityananda, Gauranga's brother, savior of Jagai and Madhai, but at first make me humble. You are no doubt a pure devotee of the highest caliber, and I, a victim of Kali, saved by you, O my kind rescuer. Still, as the ocean of mercy never ends, it expands farther. Let me ever dive into your loving seva to taste its nectar. Even Nandanandan Sri Krishna is controlled by your pure love. So the unhappy souls residing in fool's paradise are drawn astray and soon become controlled by your love, likewise, riding on a wave of one word or just a glance from your lotus face's divine play. Your divine grace is like a patient father, the real ever well-wisher of your devoted sons and daughters from all around the earth, wishing us all to obey you and thus obtain the final goal and shelter in life and yoga, eternal pure praying beyond nirvana's illusory mirth. Shri Radha Gopinath have sent you down to this Brahmanda to grant us all in this world your beloved ever true sadhu sangha, and the lucky souls after so many lives gained this sacred ananda, the eternal shelter of a pure bhakta of Yuga Avatar Sri Gauranga. Please forgive me any offense if I have committed any offense at the lotus feet of any of the Vaishnavas or Vaishnavis. So I humbly beg forgiveness from all of you if I made any mistakes or many mistakes.
Beautiful, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I don't think we've had anyone yet who's managed to do a song, a poem, and a sharing all in one session. Fantastic. And I have to say, I don't think I could quite write a poem in Finnish like you just did in English. It was amazing. By the way, I love your pronunciation of dwarf. That was, I want to record that. It's fantastic. I love that comparison of dwarf to the moon. How did you say dwarf again? Say it again.
You know, you have to hear it from a dwarf to get it right.
I love the way you say it. It's great. But just a few things I want to pick out from what you said. I think there's a kind of an interesting thing that goes on with devotees looking backwards. So, for example, I know Yashadari because she came to Gurudeva in 2010. Have I just gone on mute? Okay, back on. I know Yashadari came to Gurudeva in 2010, and she's often pining for the memories going further back and wants to hear devotees who were around in, say, 1996. Yeah. And then I came in 1996, and you saw Gurudeva and David Gaudiya Mat in 1991.
92 actually.
92. Yeah. It's very exciting for me to hear about that, especially because there are probably there may be about a handful of Westerners there, if that. Yeah.
It was full of Indian devotees. It was completely packed, you know, Devananda Gaudiya was completely packed with Indian devotees. And then now Parikrama coming in there, so we were just precious.
And then amazingly, like even all the Prabhupada disciples then reminisce about, for example, we had Sriman Achyutananda Prabhu on Guru Pranim, who came in 1966. So he was like one of the first, I think he was the first cook for Prabhupada. It's amazing. So we have this kind of going backwards thing, which is very beautiful, wanting to know further and further back. Actually, while I mention his name, on September the 12th, he's going to have the whole of this Gurudeva memories. He's going to have the whole 2 hours talking about memories of Prabhupada and Gurudeva going all the way back to 1966.
Wow.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah.
But is he a Prabhupada disciple?
Huh?
Is he disciple of Srila Prabhupada?
Yeah. 1966.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Incredible.
I didn't have that close association with Srila Gurudeva. I felt like finally I had come to a person who really knows perfectly Srila Prabhupada, you know, because I had such high adoration for Srila Prabhupada. And suddenly I realized that this is incredible. There's somebody on earth who knows Prabhupada even before ISKCON was founded. And he knows him perfectly and honors him in such a beautiful way that it's like nobody I had never seen anybody offering such love and respect to Srila Prabhupada. I had been a devotee like 15 years straight, and I had heard so many Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis speak, but I had never seen anybody have such like height of respect and love, you know, with such depth. It was unbelievable.
He knew his heart. He knew his heart.
Exactly. So and I felt also like it's clear that because he was really like so closely connected, you know, with Prabhupada, who came to Mathura, Keshavaji Gaudiya Math, first of all. They got to know so closely even years before that. And then Prabhupada suddenly beginning to leave, you know, move to Vrindavan, and then still, you know, Gurudev continuing this. So how closely he knew Prabhupada and his heart, you know, and his teachings, his mood, his realizations. And I mean, when he is saying that, you know, this is the line. So he was completely in line with, you know, with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, with the Param Gurudev, with Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, and with the entire Guru Varga, and then giving us the books of all the Acharyas. So it's like unbelievable.
It's one flowing river, Prabhu, and if we try and put a dam in the river, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to say before we move on to the USA is that this process you talked about, where Gurudev would give so much sweetness, but actually he was preparing us for an operation, and I experienced that as well. But by the time he chastised us, he knew that we were secure enough in our relationship with him that we wouldn't run away.
Exactly, he knew exactly our condition. You know, when we come in, you know, he's feeding us nectar, so we are complete like getting like, you know, we are fed Amrit, you know, the nectar of immortality from his lotus lips.
Yeah.
And from his sadhusanga, you know. So then ultimately we are so strong we can actually receive even the chastisement, you know, just for helping us. And it's like, you know, really like, and that's why, that's also kind of like that really, it was not like, you know, oh, you come for katha and, you know, then you go away. Then you come for katha and you go away. You do seva. No, there was like this complete, you know, like solid exchange going on. He really, you know, like firmly caught hold of our life and wanted to uplift us in infinite ways.
The key is the chastisement actually itself was sweet. That was what I never understood until I received it. Right. Forgive me, we have to move on to America now because I don't want to keep our next Prabhu waiting. But thank you so much, Jaya Govinda, for a beautiful sharing.